Hey guys, there's not going to be a regular video this week. I'm kind of sick, so I'm going to show you one of my older videos that I did for a course that I ended up never releasing. It's going to be a video about how to get the best studio headphones for recording vocals at home. It's a question that I get a lot, and yeah, I figured I would just answer it here. Hopefully by this time next week I'll be better, and we'll be back to doing the regular producing this style videos. So yeah, hope you enjoy.
So the next topic we're going to be talking about is headphones for recording yourself. We're going to look through the different aspects of what you would want in headphones for recording vocals at home and what are things to really avoid. First of all, what are most people using when they are recording vocals at home? If most people are like me, when I started, you are using one of three things most likely. You are using Apple earbuds, or you are using cheap headphones that you bought from the grocery store, or maybe you're a really bougie person and you have some expensive headphones at home. Let me talk through quickly why these tend to not be the best options for recording vocals at home. The main things that we are looking for when we are looking for headphones for recording vocals for music that we're making. We want stuff that sounds good. When it sounds good, you tend to like how it sounds. We also want them to be comfortable. And I saved the best for last year, isolation. We want headphones that isolate themselves from our microphone. So if you watched the last video, we talked about isolation in terms of the microphone isolating itself from the room. We also want our headphones to have isolation so that they do not leak. If you can't buy new headphones, some things that you can do to lessen that headphone leakage from the speakers in your headphones into your microphone. Some things that you can do, I'll just go over these real quick because I know that some people, they don't have the ability to buy a new set of headphones. So some things real quickly that can help are turning your headphone volume down so that the music in your headphones and your voice from your backing track don't spill into your microphone. Another thing is to turn down your click track if you're using a click track, or turning your click track sound into a sound that does not spill out of your headphones as much. So in Ableton, the default click sound is doot, 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 doot. Strongly encourage people who are using Ableton to change it from that sound because there's another sound that goes, and just that little switch of going from this like tone to this makes it really hard to hear it in the background of your vocal track if it does spill into your microphone. So that's just it's a very niche tip, but if you can get rid of like the tonal characteristics of your click or your metronome in your DAW, I would highly recommend doing that. Also, don't wear just one ear out. I know this is a habit that some people have who are in the worship leader community. You really don't want to be taking one ear out or even taking one ear off if you're using larger headphones. You really don't want to do that because that will again introduce leakage into the microphone. We also can look into, I know it's kind of a janky way of thinking about it, but if you're using something like Apple earbuds and you really can't get anything else, or like Skull Candy earbuds that don't really have the best isolation, one option you can look into is buying like some hardware store ear protection. They're like those big giant, like they look like earmuffs for the winter, but they're like made of hard plastic and they're made for like people who are mowing lawns or something like that to protect their hearing. If you have earbuds and you put those over them, sometimes that works. It's a super janky way of doing it, and sometimes it's really uncomfortable because it will like push the earbud or the thing like deeper into your ear, so it can be uncomfortable sometimes. But if you really can't afford new headphones, I would try looking into that because I have had success with that in the past. Not preferred, but not unrecommendable, if that makes any sense. So the reason we want isolation is because if we don't have isolation, what's going to happen is when we're singing along with the track in our DAW and it's coming out of our headphones into our ears, it's going to also be spilling into our microphone. And then when it comes time to mix our vocal, every time we try to compress our vocal, we're just going to get that backing track coming up in our vocal and we're not going to be able to get it out. And that's really not good. You don't want that. I might just cut that whole thing out. Maybe, I don't know. So really quickly, I'm going to go over some headphone recommendations and some different options that you can look at. The first one is studio headphones. These are headphones that are created specifically for people who are in the studio. So the 3 models that I would recommend are the Audio-Technica ATH M30Xs. I actually believe I have a pair of them right here. I use these all the time. They are good and comfortable. They have like a nice squishy feel to them, and they have a pretty decent seal on them. Some other alternatives are the Sennheiser HD 280 Pros, and if you're really, really desperate for some isolation from your tracks, Vic Firth just came out with the SIH2. And for those of you who don't know, Vic Firth is a drumstick company. So they created headphones that are used for drummers. So it's kind of the same thing as I was talking about with like those ear protection muffs over your earbuds. They basically created that. And I believe they're like $80 or something like that. So not too crazy expensive compared to other headphones. But those are studio headphones. The other option I would look into is in-ear monitors. So in-ear monitors are not headphones. They're just like a higher quality version of an earbud. A lot of musicians will be using these on stage. And that's kind of why I recommend you look into these first, because if you're a musician, you're probably going to need to get in-ear monitors at some point in the future if you plan on doing live shows ever. If you ever have an in-ear rig, or if you go to a place that has an in-ear rig, I would strongly recommend looking into these first. The main 2 that I would look into, I'd recommend looking into the Shure SE215s. I actually have a pair and I use them all the time. I've used mine for like, I want to say 7 or 8 years. And the cool thing about these guys is you can actually replace the cable if the cable breaks. The other option I would look into are the KZ in-ears. You can just look them up on Amazon. They're pretty affordable. They don't have as good of isolation as the Shures, but I have heard some really good things about the KZs, and a bunch of my friends in the worship community use them a lot, and they're way cheaper than the Shures. I believe the Shures are like $112. I think the KZs are like 30 or 40. So they're definitely an option to look into. And the last option for tracking yourself is kind of a cheat, because it's kind of the same thing, but it's in-ears plus triple flange tips. And so I actually have these on my Shure SE215s right now, but these are called triple flanges. These are triple flange tips. So they go on the end of your earbud, of your in-ear monitors, and they go really deep into your ear, like kind of uncomfortably deep into your ear, to be honest. Normally when I'm like drumming, it's like I have to like pull my ear up and then put it in, and then I let my ear go, and it is like a thick seal. They're borderline earplugs at this point. But the cool thing about that is you don't have to worry about noise isolation as much, because again, it's like such a super deep seal. But also, since it's a super deep seal, you can turn your volume down in your in-ears and you don't risk as much hearing damage, because it's so directly in your ear and sealing everything out that you don't need to turn your volume up as much to hear yourself. So yeah, I would strongly recommend looking into some in-ears with the triple flanges if you need to buy something, because if you're a musician, I feel like it would be more useful for you to spend $100 on some in-ears that you could use for your home studio and your live shows, instead of having to buy both at some point. So yeah, the triple flange in-ears, I cannot recommend enough.